Okay, I want you to imagine something truly unprecedented for a second. A sudden, totally unexplained week where there's absolutely no sun or moon anywhere on Earth. Complete and utter darkness for 7 full days and nights. No power, scientific instruments completely failing, just a total global blackout of the skies. What would happen to our world? Well, today, in this explainer, we're diving into a fascinating 600-year-old prophetic text from India that maps out exactly such an event at the very end of our current age. But real quick, before we jump into the deep end, just a brief note that we are looking at religious tradition and prophecy for educational discussion here, not scientific fact. We're stepping in as neutral analysts to explore exactly what the source material claims. So let's actually investigate this claim of a 7-day blackout from a scientific standpoint. If we look at the natural world, total solar eclipses max out at about 7.5 minutes, right? And they're strictly local events. Now, history does give us things like the 1780 New England Dark Day or the massive 1815 Mount Tambora eruption. Both of those absolutely dimmed the skies, but they never caused a full global 7-day blackout of both the sun and the moon. Even theoretical models for stuff like nuclear or asteroid impact winters describe a gradual dimming, not a sudden complete switch to pitch black. So our honest verdict here? The Bhavishya Malika describes a sign that is currently undated, unfulfilled, and genuinely unexplained by any known scientific mechanism. It's neither proof nor disproof, but it is a frankly fascinating claim that demands we look closer at the source. And that claim comes directly from a text known as the Bhavishya Malika. The Bhavishya Malika is a massive 600-year-old collection of roughly 185,000 prophetic texts. They were primarily written on dried palm leaves in the Odia script, originating from the sacred land of Odisha in eastern India. The Bhavishya Malika states that these scriptures were written with a very specific, urgent purpose, to awaken human consciousness and guide humanity through a period of massive, upcoming global upheaval. But who actually wrote them? The Bhavishya Malika states its authors were the Panchasakha, which translates to the 5 great saints. Their names were Achyutananda Das, Balaram Das, Jagannath Das, Jashoban Das, and Shishu Ananta Das. Now this is absolutely crucial to understand. You should never call them poets. The Bhavishya Malika describes the Panchasakha as partial incarnations of the Supreme Lord, who eternally reside in a spiritual realm, literally taking human birth at the end of each era to compile this divine knowledge and guide humanity. And their physical legacy continues today through texts like the Bhavishya Malika, which is just one of the individual texts within this vast collection. For centuries, these works were pretty much confined to Odisha because of the language barrier. But recently, they've been translated into multiple languages by scholars, suddenly bringing these striking warnings to a global audience. Which brings us right back to the darkness. Why does the Bhavishya Malika state this will happen? The Panchasakha specifically describe that human civilization has deeply, fundamentally polluted all 5 elements of nature: water, air, fire, earth, and space. Because of this profound corruption, the text states that humanity will witness a devastating global war and the destruction of those elements, all culminating in those 7 days and nights of profound darkness where our reliance on scientific instruments will completely fail. To understand exactly when this is supposed to happen, we need to quickly learn a Sanskrit term, Yuga Sandhya. The text describes time cyclically in these massive epics called yugas. The Bhavishya Malika states that we've already reached the end of the Kali Yuga, which is the Dark Age, and we are currently living right now in the Yuga Sandhya. This is the volatile, transitional twilight period, the interlude between the end of the old world and the beginning of a brand new divine era. We are basically sitting at the cosmic crossroads. Now, what's truly fascinating here is how the Bhavishya Malika completely redefines cosmic time. Traditional interpretations of ancient scriptures usually suggest the Kali Yuga lasts a staggering 432,000 years. However, the Bhavishya Malika states explicitly that due to the heinous sins and actions committed by humanity, the lifespan of this dark age was drastically curtailed. The text calculates that the Kali Yuga was actually shortened down to just 5,000 years, pushing us directly into the endgame right now. But how do we know for sure we're in this endgame? Well, the Panchasakha didn't just leave vague, spooky warnings. They provided a highly specific, checkable astronomical marker called Meena Shani. In Vedic astrology, Meena means the zodiac sign of Pisces, and Shani refers to the planet Saturn. The Bhavishya Malika states that major global shifts and the process of establishing a new world order would officially kick off during the specific transit of Saturn entering Pisces. And this is where the prophecy becomes a fixed, datable event that anyone can literally verify on a modern star chart. Saturn takes roughly 30 years to orbit the Sun, right? The last time it was in Pisces was 1995. According to astronomical data, the current Mishra cycle began on March 29, 2025, and Saturn is going to largely remain there until early 2028. The Bhavishya Malika points directly to this exact astronomical window as the trigger for an unprecedented cosmic shift. And the crucial point is exactly what happened in the sky on that specific date. Saint Bhima Boy, another revered figure associated with these texts, detailed that during the specific Meena-Shani transit signaling the end of the age, there would be exactly 6 planets present in the Pisces zodiac. And on March 29, 2025, 5 planets, Rahu, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, and the Moon, were already sitting right there in Pisces as Saturn entered, making it exactly 6. The Bhavishya Malika states that this precise planetary alignment is the ultimate confirmation. And the text does not mince words about what this alignment actually means. The Bhavishya Malika describes with absolute clarity that following this 2025 transit, a dance of destruction will commence. It foretells a period marked by severe natural disasters, the shifting of the Earth's axis, and the culmination of an unfinished war from ancient times. It bluntly states it will be extremely difficult for humanity to survive this purification process. Yet, navigating from this cosmic shift into a new era requires more than just prophecy. The Bhavishya Malika is fundamentally a narrative of divine intervention. The scriptures state that to guide humanity through this profound darkness, Lord Kalki will emerge. Now, Lord Kalki is described in Sanatan Dharma as the 10th and final avatar or incarnation of Lord Mahavishnu, appearing specifically at the end of the Kali Yuga. And fascinatingly, the text claims he is already present in the world to personally oversee this massive transition. The Panchasakha describe that Lord Kalki has a highly specific mission during this exact Meena-Shani window. His purpose is threefold. First, to annihilate the wicked. Second, to protect the devoted saints and pure-hearted individuals. And finally, to re-establish Dharma, which translates to cosmic order and righteousness across the entire globe. The Bhavishya Malika states that under his guidance, the world's diverse faiths will ultimately unite under one eternal truth. So, if the world is facing floods, severe winds, and 7 days of total darkness, how do you actually prepare? Well, the Bhavishya Malika prescribes a highly specific spiritual survival guide called Sandhya. Tri means 3, and Sandhya refers to the twilight transition points of the day. The text describes Sandhya not just as a ritual, but as the absolute chief protection against the coming physical and spiritual storms, stating that households practicing it will be completely shielded from sorrow and disease. The Bhavishya Malika clearly outlines what this Sandhya practice entails. First, it involves reciting specific prayers at 3 times of day, morning, midday, and evening. Second, it calls for the continuous mental remembrance of the Lord by chanting the name Madhava. And third, it requires the daily reading of 1 chapter of the Srimad Bhagavat scripture. Notably, the text states that physical purity like ritual bathing isn't even strictly required in these emergency times. It states that mental purity and this continuous focus on the divine is what will actually save humanity. And what is the promise for enduring this intense transition? The Bhavishya Malika states that after the destructive activities conclude around 2031 or 2032, a totally new era will dawn. This is the Satya Yuga, also referred to as the Ananta Yuga, the promised golden age of absolute truth, peace, and harmony. The text describes that those who sincerely follow the path of righteousness will live to see this beautiful new world, where Lord Kalki himself will oversee a joyful, united earth. So as we watch the skies, verify those planetary alignments of March 2025, and observe the current state of our modern world, we are left with a really profound question. Will we view these 600-year-old palm leaves from Odisha as just a fascinating historical curiosity? Or, as the Bhavishya Malika itself states, is this the ultimate roadmap to surviving the darkest of days and stepping into a brilliant new era of human consciousness? The texts invite us not to fear the twilight, but to prepare actively for the dawn.